I was home alone, and my fiance was at work. We live in a nice home in a very safe part of town. It was 1 p.m. and I was doing the dishes when the doorbell rang suddenly. I went to check the peephole, and it was a woman and man I didn't recognize. So I opened the door and asked them if they needed help. The woman introduced herself as Lacey, and the man her fiance, Todd. Lacey told me she lived in my house when she was a little girl. She wanted to look at my backyard since that is where she had her fondest memories. I told her no, and it visibly upset her. Her fiance said it would only take 3 minutes, but I told them I didn't know them and was uncomfortable. Lacey then told me, I knew kindness was very rare these days, and they left. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. No, just no, full stop. This is becoming a common tactic with home invaders, at least in my area. They will ask to tour a house because one of them grew up there. If it appears that the person is home alone, they will assault them and rob the place. Someone tried to pull that on my cousin last year, who lives in her grandmother's house that was bought in the 60s. Someone in their 30s tried to claim that they grew up there. My cousin went, "That's funny, 'cause my Nana has owned and lived in this house since 1963, and called the cops. Using her cameras, the cops recognized the person as a home invader they had been looking for and caught them. My mom did this when we were visiting California and I was a little girl. She knocked on the door and we all got a tour of my mom's childhood home. I even got to pick some oranges from the tree in the backyard. I thought it was pretty cool. Anyway, no idiots here. You are completely within your rights not to let them in. They're strangers, and you have no idea what they'll do. On the other hand, I understand wanting to revisit childhood memories, and they are not wrong for the asking. How did you know Lacey and Todd weren't scouting the place out for a robbery or a home invasion under the guise of a feel-good lie? Why would Lacey and Todd make no contact or effort in getting to know you a little before showing up at your doorstep, expecting just to be let into the property? OP did good. Don't doubt yourself with this stuff. OP, just out of curiosity, check who owned the property before you and around the time frame she may have lived there. Perhaps a longtime neighbor can be asked about that woman's family. This can help you decide if it was a setup for a scam. Perhaps something was buried in the backyard, or there had been her treehouse, etc. But it seems unlikely that her wish to revisit would be concentrated on the backyard without interest in the house. Any realtors in this end with her name? Did you see anything distinctive about your backyard? Do your neighbors know anything? Update. Yikes! I just asked my neighbor who lived in her home for decades if someone named Lacey lived next to her. She said the previous owners, who she knew pretty well and who themselves lived in the house for a very long time, were childless and weren't close to their families. She never saw a little girl or ever heard the name Lacey. Thanks so much for the support. I talked to the police and gave them a description of the creeps. I also told my fiance, and we're getting a security system installed. It scares me to read the number of people commenting that they would have let these people in. I hope this is a lesson. It sure was for me. Be safe. Your security and well-being are more important than a stranger's feelings. Be kind in other ways. Whoa, reading this, I thought if I were in your place, I would have let Lucy come in to see her old backyard, because what's the harm? Apparently there is a lot of potential harm that could have happened. Yikes! I'm getting ready to move into my place in a couple of months, and these comments have convinced me never to ever let a stranger in. You are not the idiot, by the way, and I'm glad you're safe, OP. OMG, can we normalize not opening the door to strangers? It blows my mind how many people open the door to strangers. You don't know what they want or what they're going to do. In the best case scenario, they are lovely, honest people. Worst case, well, you can imagine. It's just not worth the risk. This happened to me recently, and my boyfriend kinda joked that I was too suspicious. But when you are an alone female in a house, there is just no reason to take that risk. I, male 26, started dating Lisa, 24, about 10 months ago. Our relationship started very casually, and little by little became a bit more serious, but we're still not in the I love you part. Early in our relationship, we developed a very weird dynamic. When she wanted a compliment, she would say something bad about herself, and I then would tell her she's beautiful and that there's nothing wrong with her. For example, she would say her hair looks awful and she wishes she had silkier hair. Then I'd tell her about how beautiful her hair and hairstyle is. Around mid-September, we were hanging out at my house when she found a pic I had with my last ex. I wasn't keeping that pic for any particular reason. It's just a regular photo of the two of us hugging, and I had forgotten it was there. Lisa found it in an old notebook. She got a bit angry and demanded to know if I still had feelings for her. I told her no, and we discarded the photo. However, Lisa was still angry and started making snide comments about how, in her own words, I probably still miss having my big-boobed ex in my life. Now, I'm afraid of making this sound more misogynistic than it is until now, so I'll be brief. Yes, my ex had bigger breasts than Lisa. No, it doesn't make any difference to me, and I wouldn't date anyone based on breast size alone. I do have my preferences, but it's still not something that's definitive. Anyway, after this incident, she would constantly say she wished she had bigger boobs so that she could make me happy. I, of course, would tell her she's great the way she is and that I love her body. But after a month of hearing this daily or sometimes twice a day, I started getting annoyed. And yesterday I told her that if she felt so strongly about it, she should just get a boob job. Then silence. She didn't argue and just left. She hasn't been answering my texts or calls. So at the time I was fed up and felt like it was justified. But now with the cool head, I think I'm not so sure. So anyway, am I the idiot? Not the idiot. You gave her the response she wanted, and she was looking for a fight. Insecure people are exhausting. It's not your role to fix her. Please don't waste your time on insecure people because they will drain you and take their problems out on you. Everyone's the idiot here. Everyone here needs to figure out a better communication style than this toxic back and forth. When you figured out your girlfriend fished for compliments this way, you could have gently said, "Please don't say negative things about yourself anymore. You know I think you're beautiful, and I will no longer respond to your negativity." She obviously has some self-esteem stuff going on that needs to be addressed, but you're an enabler at this point. Right, the way she simpers and whines for compliments is unhealthy for both of them. This is something that, as her partner, he should talk to her about instead of firing up the attention train. Everyone needs to take a step back and see a therapist. Last week I went to use my Bluetooth headphones. They were gone out of my bag where they always are. I asked my daughter, nearly adult, if she had them. She's always taking my stuff without asking. I've told her all she has to do is ask whenever she needs to borrow my stuff. That's all I ask in return, because I know I won't get it back and she'll deny it. She said no. I was skeptical. She guilt-tripped me saying I never believe her, etc., which she's not wrong, I don't, as she has a history of lying. She's constantly lying to me. Even small insignificant things, it's frustrating. I felt awful and apologized. I just assumed I'd left them in the car or somewhere else. I wanted to believe her. Anyway, yesterday I was in her room looking for something I knew she borrowed, which I needed back. So I didn't go through her stuff or anything of the sort. I respected her privacy. I noticed her makeup bag on the floor and had a look in there for my moisturizer, and there are my headphones. I was not happy. I decided I'd wait to talk to her when I picked her up from her course. When she gets in the car, I tell her I found them and ask why she lied. She keeps saying that she doesn't know how they got there, etc. I asked to see her Bluetooth pairings on her phone. If it's not paired, I'd believe her. She wouldn't. We argued about it for at least 10 minutes. She kept up the argument that I wouldn't believe her either way, which I told her no, that's not true. She just refused to show me. She wouldn't budge. She ended up crying and I could tell she was very stressed. I kept asking to see the pairing that if she hadn't used them, they wouldn't be in her phone. She ended up getting out of the car and walking off. I watched her, and unsurprisingly she got on her phone straight away. I gave her a couple of minutes to calm down, then asked her to get back in the car. I asked again to please just show me her pairings. I wasn't surprised when she showed me straight away. I knew she'd deleted it when she got out. It's just so obvious to me. I said to her, "You flat out refused to show me before you had a chance to delete it. You were in obvious distress about showing me, but as soon as you had the chance to delete it and get back in the car, you show me straight away? I wasn't born yesterday." But now I'm the idiot because I'd said I'd believe her, and now I don't. I'm at my wit's end with her constant lies and deceitful tendencies. I want to believe her, I truly do. It just doesn't make sense for her not to know about them being in her makeup bag. when she had makeup on when I picked her up. I meant to be taking her and her friends away for a trip this weekend to hot pools and a bungee jump. I want to cancel it if she doesn't own up to the truth. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. You didn't believe her because she very obviously deleted the evidence before getting back in the car to show you. That's not clearing her name. It's showing you how far she's willing to go to lie. Punishment comes with lying. Cancel the weekend and don't feel bad about it. She may see you as wrong, but she's the child, and you're the adult. You aren't there to make friends with her. You're there to parent her. Lying and stealing get you jail time when you're an adult. She needs to know these sort of things have consequences. Not the idiot. She's lying, but you know that. It's frustrating because it seems you've made clear that it's not even like she'd be in trouble if she just fessed up to borrowing them. But now you know that she's a thief, a liar, and a gaslighter. A pathological liar needs therapy to figure out why they feel the need to lie and how to combat it. I'm not going to say cancel or don't cancel, but try and get her into therapy. Not the idiot. You must reality check her every single time she's caught lying. Then give her reasonable consequences, such as canceling a trip. She's just immature and hasn't learned that restraining impulses and owning mistakes are important. Don't let her manipulate you. You constantly accuse me of lying. Look her dead in the eye. You're the only person who can do anything about that. Good on you for holding her accountable. If she's never punished for her lying, she could grow up to be, gasp, a politician. Update. Today she rang me. I completely avoided the subject of asking for her honesty entirely and went straight to asking her if she'd be open to trying therapy again. She lost it on me, started saying very hurtful things, even said she'll spend Christmas at her dad's. No idea where that came from. I let her finish and asked what time she would be home, as we needed to sit down and have a chat. I told her I wouldn't be angry. We just needed to talk. She's not coming home tonight, apparently. I didn't get a chance to let her know I would be canceling the weekend, as she hung up on me after telling me she wasn't coming home. For context, I am a teen male and have 2 young sisters. My family is decent and is middle class in terms of finances. Unfortunately, my father, who was the main breadwinner, passed away last year unexpectedly. I'm not putting in this info to garner sympathy, just to set the context for my mother's actions. As the title implies, I do not currently have my own room and share a room with my sisters and mother. I used to have my own room up until last year, after my father had passed, when my mother decided to rent out my room and another free room in the house, leaving only her room and the maid's room. I live in Asia, where it's common to have maids to take care of children. As such, I moved into my sister's and mother's master bedroom. The main reason for renting out my room was to get extra income to support me academically in terms of tuition, school fees, and whatnot. So I can understand my mother's reasons for renting out my room, and we all fit quite comfortably into her room. However, there is a lack of privacy anywhere, and during the whole global situation, my mother is working from home, having meetings and whatnot from her room. This makes the room incredibly noisy, and there is almost no place for me. It has gotten to the point where I go through panic attacks when it gets so noisy that I start to hyperventilate and cover myself with a blanket. Even with earphones and stuffing my ears, the noise never goes away completely. My mom has noticed this and has scolded me for it, and I feel like having my own room will solve the problem. However, she's unwilling to give it to me as she needs the money for tuition fees and tells me to put up with it, and tells me how she struggles and usually scolds me for being so inconsiderate, which I am. I completely understand my mother's standpoint, her hard position being a single mom to 3 kids while working her job, and I feel like such an idiot sometimes asking her for my own room, but I feel like I need my own room. For God's sake, I don't even have my own study table. I have to go to the dining table to study. I have to admit, I have been less than respectful to her many times because of this, and have gotten into tons of arguments with her over this, but I don't think I'm in the wrong here. So, am I the idiot for asking for my own room? You are the idiot, although I feel for you for the panic/anxiety over the noise. The reaction to studying at the dining table sounds entitled at the very least. It's not a great situation, but not knowing the full status of the finances, you can't know what the pressure on your mother is like. It sucks, and maybe you can try getting better headphones or talk to the mother if she's willing to divide the room with some temporary walls or something. But it's entitled to be rude when you don't get it. Plus, you don't know if the sister wouldn't put pressure on mom after you got your room for equality, and that would put her in a lot worse spot. No idiots here. It is tough not to have privacy at your age, but your mom is under a lot of stress. I imagine you're all still grieving. There are a lot of feelings here. You don't need to be told life changes a lot when you lose the head of your household. It sounds like you understand the why of the matter, and while we can ask and advocate for ourselves, sometimes it's just not possible to get what we want. Clearly, you are the idiot. Your mother is doing what is necessary to take care of the family. If you want your room back, go get a job that will at least equal the amount she's getting from renting out the room. Then you give her that money. Otherwise, suck it up. Your mom is renting to save for your education, for your future. She's not doing this to spite you. And she is also hurting, stressed, and her world is breaking apart. Try to support her instead of attacking her, and you might get a better atmosphere in your home. To start, my husband's mother and I always had a beef. Nothing personal, she says, but her actions show she has a problem with me personally, even though she claims to be the brutally honest and strict mother-in-law with all of her daughters-in-law. Overall, we are civil towards each other, but I do my best to be supportive, like anyone else, since she's recovering from cancer. My husband's 30th birthday was days ago. His mom called and was like, "Hey, I'd like to know what you'll be getting for Tom this year." I asked why, and she said she was just making sure we don't end up buying the same gifts, since she knows him as much as I do, if not more. I didn't feel comfortable telling her, but I did eventually. She said thanks, bye. We were planning to celebrate at a restaurant, but instead his mom insisted on hosting the party at home to avoid infections and whatnot. Understandable. The party went well. She was all sweet and didn't speak much until the gift opening. She insisted he opens her gift first, and there it was, the $250 wristwatch I said I was getting him. Same brand, color, price range, etc. I was shocked but kept calm and handed my husband his gift. He opened it and was confused, saying what a coincidence it was that his mom and I got the same item. Before I opened my mouth, his mom loudly said, So that's why you called me on Tuesday? You clearly wanted to copy the gift I got for Tom. That is just so tacky. I'm not sure why you'd do that." I blew up at her, saying she stole my gift idea and got him the same wristwatch I would gift him. For some petty reason, she acted offended, and others started saying I should go easy on her, since she's a recovering cancer patient and did nothing wrong. My husband said he'd take them both, but I took my stuff and walked out after I was told to apologize for lashing out. I got home and I felt bad, but I didn't apologize. But I did get called a manipulative, dramatic witch by my sister-in-law for causing a scene and walking out of my husband's birthday. Your mother-in-law is a nightmare, and you are not the idiot. She straight up called you to steal your idea and then preemptively lie about it to glean sympathy and make you the villain. Screw cancer, but also screw her. Not the idiot. She set you a trap and you fell for it. You were emotional and acted that way. Honestly, I would act the same way. Next time, tell her you're getting something expensive as heck and get him something else. She wants to play that kind of game. Be better at it.